Thank you for watching Let the Prophet Speak. I've absolutely enjoyed coming into your homes and spending time with you. I hope it has been a great experience for you because it has been an awesome experience for me. I need to ask you a favor. If you have enjoyed Let the Prophet Speak, if you've been educated, trained, if it has enhanced your life, if you've learned something about your giftings, I need to know it. If you watch me on my YouTube channel, I need you to send me an email, contact me by Facebook, Twitter. Let me know that you're benefiting from Let the Prophet Speak. It is a training tool to help any person that's flowing in the gifts or have the ascension gift calling or the grace gifts. I want to empower and enhance your life, show you how to take it to the marketplace, make it very relevant. But I need your financial support to remain on the air. It costs an average of $750 per month to air Let the Prophet Speak in Panama City, Florida, as well as Tallahassee, Florida. For many of you, that may not seem like a large amount of money, but the cost of running that broadcast from month to month, year to year, can be overwhelming with all of the other expenses that we incur while we're producing books and giving away cruises and trips to people that are fighting cancer, or single mothers buying clothes for the kids to go back to school, giving away cars and scholarships to college students. So we appreciate any amount that you can give, from $5 to $500. We will appreciate your love offering. Once again, thank you for watching Let the Prophet Speak. I love you more than words could possibly say. Appreciate the viewers, and I would just like to know who you are. I'm waiting to hear from you. Thanks for watching Let the Prophet Speak.
God can do anything more than we can ask or think, more than we can imagine in our wildest dreams. Thank you, Lord, by your blood I have been redeemed. In your mercy you kept me. Who wouldn't let my enemies triumph over me to make me praise?
This is Let the Prophet Speak. Thank you for tuning in tonight, and thank you for showing up at our local campus. All of the students that are here tonight, disciples, learned individuals, those who are interested in learning, disciplined learners. You're here tonight to fill your arsenal with new tools to find out the times and seasons and know how to arm yourself for this time and season. So visions, for a friendly reminder, those of you, we're on Journey On. I released Journey On in December, but I'm giving you clear definitions. A lot of clear definitions or examples are in God of My Dreams. For example, we're going to hover over visions tonight, hover over dreams, trances, and then go into what kind of attacks that are coming against us this season. What are visions? Visions are a little different from dreams. How are they different from dreams? They are more like broadcasts that depict the mind and the happenings of God. Broadcasts that actually depict the mind of God and the happenings of God. That's a vision. The mind of God, the happenings of God. If you watch the broadcast, sometimes they're testing a network in the middle of the night, and there's this national broadcast that comes on for a few minutes. So these are a broadcast that God just brings across the mind or through the mind while awake. You see it, it's there, but it's not there. It's visible, but yet it's invisible. You're seeing in the spirit realm. Since the human language varies from culture to culture, creative symbolism sees to it that what God says over the millennia of Earth's existence is always relevant. We're going to talk about a lot of symbolism tonight, so it makes it relevant. The symbolism, things that I've seen in the spirit realm, and seers are seeing it globally. Prophets are seeing it globally. Those individuals that are seers, that have frequent
frequent dreams and frequent visions more than the regular prophet. They're seeing symbols that represent what God is doing, and the proper interpretation of the symbols help you to arm yourself and equip you for the battle. Divine symbolism works well in dreams and visions. Trances are a state in which one seems to be unaware of his or her surroundings. I'll talk about trances, which are different from visions, where you're unaware of your surroundings, and it's more about the pertaining to the subject of the vision rather than focusing on their surroundings. A trance works like this. I'm sitting here and I'm interacting in the spirit realm. I'm less aware of what's happening to the left, the right of me, what's happening in the natural realm, what are you doing, so it's what's going on with the students that are here. It's similar to, if I can use the term, I'm here but I'm not here. I'm actually in a different place. I'm in a place spiritually while standing in a natural place, and my focus and attention is on where I am spiritually rather than what's going on naturally around me. That's a trance. So during this season, and for those of you that may say, which page is that? Page 56 on God of My Dreams. We'll give you a lot of examples throughout. And this is just one of many definitions in this book. Great tool for those of you that may be watching that don't have it yet or showed up. You don't have it. It's excellent for anybody that's gifted or anybody that's trying to learn about their gifts. You have a lot of examples, you have a lot of definitions, so you clearly know the difference. Know what you're experiencing and how to fuel that gift. During this season, this is a season of spiritual attacks. There was a spiritual attack, several spiritual attacks that occurred on Sunday with Jacqueline, that occurred with Delvin, I don't know who else, that hopefully we'll get into that tonight, the spiritual attacks, and seeing why the attack came, how you won the victory over the attack. The enemy is always trying to sabotage what God is doing. Yes. It's always trying to mimic. It's the counterfeit to the real. Anytime God is making a move, the enemy is making a move also to make sure that you miss out on what he's doing. Or if he can incite fear to shut you down to not pick up that gift again. It's almost like a bully. I dare you to pray do prophetic intercession. I'll make sure you go blind if you flow in prophetic intercession. To incite fear instead of faith. I'll make sure, how dare you sing a song that will bring miracles into the room, that will cause miracles, signs, and wonders, that there will be healing and deliverance. Then I'll make sure that you faint in an attempt to shame you or incapacitate you in front of an audience of people. It's a threat to get you to not flow with God, but instead fear the enemy. But God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of sound mind. And those of you that are watching my Facebook, finish it. God has not given you a spirit of fear. So the author of fear is the enemy. Holy reverence, holy fear, to fear God and keep his commandments is reverence. But the enemy brings fear, which is torment, which God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power for us to muscle up on the enemy, and of love and of a sound mind. How many of you have ever buried someone that you love? Journey on. How many of you have ever gone through heartbreak? Journey on. How many of you have ever experienced an unwanted divorce? Journey on. How many of you have ever lost a dream, what you dreamed of doing all your life? Journey on. How many of you have ever lost a home through bankruptcy, foreclosure, whatever reason? I say to you, journey on. How many of you have ever lost a job? Either you were laid off or fired. Journey on. Having to reinvent yourself. Yes. Menopause made me reinvent myself. Having children made me reinvent myself. Getting married, I had to reinvent myself. When I stopped teaching and went into full-time ministry, I had to reinvent myself. So life is filled with swift transitions. It's filled with change. So we have to reinvent ourselves and journey on. Journey on. Journey on.
Journey On has been released and is receiving rave reviews from professionals across several fields. Judge Hubert Grimes says Dr. Vernette-Rosier uses her own life story to not only testify of the multiple seasons of pain in her life, but uses her experiences to bring hope and deliverance to the reader who may have had or is experiencing similar issues. Therapist Winona Allen says, as a counselor, I was ecstatic about the clinical research and the high intensity of grief work being done in this book, Journey On. Dr. Dolores Peace says, Dr. Rosier helps us to understand our humanity and the need to address what happens to us as individuals when we grieve. Don't avoid pain. Do the grief work and use this book to help you do the work necessary to grieve in a healthy manner. To place your order, visit our website, vyrosierministries.org, or you can contact us via phone at 810-DREAM-08.
And I kept trying to hear that person's name that I'm for, but the Lord sealed that. Every time they said he's opening for this one, and it was a massive concert, and he's opening for that person, they started saying, I don't know if I want him to open up for me again because he stole the show. He keeps taking their audience towards him, and it propels you to the next level because you have been through things that should have wiped you out, should have taken your life. It is nothing but the grace of God that you're alive today, because there was death that showed up with a warrant, and he showed up with the intent of taking you out. But grace and mercy showed up. The Lord said, no, it's not his time, and he's going to use that voice and use that testimony. I hear you in the studio. I see people that, I see you recording, and as you're recording, I see that there's a market for it even before you record it, because that voice is so diverse. The ability to just, the range, the ability to just sing and usher in the heavenly presence, to usher in angels. Demons come under arrest, even in ungodly places. It arrest the demons and release angels. There is a bright future ahead of you. You made a choice, and because you made God your choice, it was not a mistake. There were individuals that said you made a mistake, that you should have never crossed over, you should have stayed on the dark side. But you did the right thing, and God is going to promote you.
You told me tonight was definitely the next level to catapult me to the next place. But the Lord did speak to me and tell me that there will be a lady that ministered to me tonight to be able to take that word in and be able to let it manifest in my life.
Wow, so the Lord set me up and set you up as well. And you're like Terry Frost from
Quincy, Florida, Gretna, Florida, that is.
Gretna, Florida. And what do you do, Terry?
I'm a worship leader.
Okay,
yes,
you're a worship leader.
Yes,
and I heard that you teach school as well.
Yes, ma'am.
So when you're in
high school, yes.
You're an educator, you teach high school?
High
What
school.
subject do you teach?
I teach, well, I go around different classes or whatever. I teach in high school.
Okay.
Kind of like ESC support especially, so.
Okay.
So,
Fantastic. I am a retired educator.
Oh, wow.
So it's
Great.
always nice to meet one of us. Look forward to seeing
Me too.
you in June.
Yeah, love it.
During this season, looking at the attacks, since I was in Tampa ministering, I think that was January. I was in Tampa at Pastor McGill's ministry, and I noticed in my hotel room that as I was just sitting there prepping for the service, I looked in the bed, and on the right side of the bed, opposite where I was going to sleep that night, on the left side of the bed, I saw this rattlesnake curled up. And it was as if this is where we utilize the word trance. I went into a trance. I was sitting in the chair, studying my notes, preparing for that night, looked over at the bed, and I was watching me look at the back of this rattlesnake. I'm standing on the side of the bed near the window. I see the rattlesnake that's on the right side of the bed. The rattlesnake is facing a silhouette of me, and I see myself sleeping on the left side of the bed. I notice this rattlesnake's eyes are looking at me, and he's in a strike position. The word of knowledge comes to me in the trance as I'm watching me watch me in the trance. Word of knowledge is downloaded. It's a heavenly knowledge about an earthly situation. The knowledge is downloaded that the rattlesnake represents deadly thoughts waiting to strike me while I'm sleeping. The enemy was staging, so it was a preview. It was an alert from the Lord to say, guard yourself. Watch for this, that when you lay down to go to sleep tonight, that the spirit of the rattlesnake, which is deadly thoughts, will be set. When a rattle is curled up and you can hear that rattle, it's a strike position. It's a warning that I'm about to strike. So he was in a strike position, ready to strike my thoughts while I was asleep with deadly thoughts. Thoughts that could be deadly to my spiritual growth. Thoughts that could be deadly to my spiritual insight, my destiny. Thoughts that will rattle my head, that would rattle me physically or rattle me emotionally or rattle me spiritually, that would hinder the safety that God has for me. When you think about a rattlesnake, they're poison, they're deadly. So to strike those could inject poisonous thoughts. Thoughts that are poisonous, that will kill off spiritually what God is trying to plant in our mind. And I hope I'm not going too deep for those that may be babies and watching. I'll try to make it palatable while I'm still feeding those individuals that have their PhD when it comes to gifts of the Spirit. So the rattlesnake literally was perched there. It was meant to warn me. The trance was to warn me, watch out for thoughts that have the potential to be deadly, that could kill off your sober mind, your sound mind that God has given you. The mind of Christ, that could kill off the mind of Christ. That could affect the vision of the seer. That could affect how you see as a seer prophet. So the warning there was for me to warn others. Since that time, this month again, I kept seeing these rattlesnakes. I came off the road on last night, pulled into my Panama City house kind of late night, and walked into the office almost in a trance again, our office at home. And without thinking, I picked up a book. When I looked to see what book it was a book about reptiles, crocodiles, various types of snakes, lizards, and immediately my mind went back to that vision of saying, God, I don't like looking at pictures of snakes. I had bought that book probably 15, 20 years ago to study the natural characteristics of reptiles, the natural characteristics of lizards and snakes and frogs, so that I could get the spiritual interpretation by looking at the natural characteristics. Immediately when I picked up the book, I noticed that I turned to the page and I was looking for rattlesnake, which told me, okay, God, this is knowledge again. You're reminding me again. You're tuning me into the attacks during this season. What to watch for as a prophet and a seer, what to warn the body of Christ about. Watch for thoughts that will rattle you. Watch for thoughts that are poison, toxic to your spiritual well-being, that could affect you physically, that could affect you emotionally, that has the potential to kill you spiritually. So you no longer want to go to anybody's church. You no longer want to serve God. You no longer believe in the word of the Lord. Thoughts that could kill you spiritually. Thoughts that could kill you emotionally, so that you're a basket case. You're no longer stable because of those deadly thoughts. Thoughts that could affect you physically. Now you're having migraines and headaches because you're obsessing over them. You're having chest pains over these thoughts. Have you ever noticed you're having a panic attack and you had to catch yourself and say, what was I thinking about? It was a deadly thought that affected your heart. So this is what's happening in this season. This is where the attacks are coming from in this season. It is the rattlesnake, which represents deadly thoughts that are coming during this season. Watch for thoughts that bring offenses. I heard that on Sunday. I called her the junior prophet, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, a woman in every sense of the word, married woman, mother, but that carries my mantle, talked about the spirit of offense. Scandalon. It is offense. It is the picture of a mousetrap with cheese in it, and the enemy's trying to get you to take the bait so he can trap you. Watch for the spirit of offense during this season, because it's aimed at trapping you. Imagine that cheese in the mousetrap. It's meant for the mouse to go after the cheese, so he'll drop thoughts, which is the cheese, for you to go after it so he can trap you. Do not allow the enemy to trap you by thoughts that he's baiting you with. They don't like me. They've always disliked me. Thoughts. I probably won't make it during the night, through the night. Thoughts. If I drive, I'll probably get in an accident. I'll probably be single all my life. Thoughts. Don't take the bait, because it's meant to trap you, and you can't get yourself out of that trap. Do not take the bait. Don't swallow the cheese of, I've been abandoned and everybody always leave me, where the enemy's trying to drive you into severe depression or a suicidal mood. Don't go for the cheese, because it's a trap. Look at it and say, God will never leave me nor forsake me. There is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother. Put that word on it and say to yourself, I may have the right, it could be true, this should offend me, but I gave up my rights when Jesus gave his life on the cross. Because he died for me, because he took those 39 stripes, I don't have the right to hold a grudge. I don't have the right to not forgive, because I need his forgiveness. I have to release the trespasses, the wounds. People that have wounded me so deeply, Lord, I just need to remember, I want you to take the pain out. So I remember what happened, but the pain will no longer take my breath away. The pain will no longer cause me to be offended by what they did. Let me be able to pray what Jesus prayed on the cross. Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. What they do. Now, some of you watching may say, yes, they know what they do. Then, Father, forgive them. They know what they do. But I will not let them hold me hostage. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. Embrace yourself. Hold yourself. Give yourself this marvelous gift, this unspeakable gift. I forgive them. Whether it was intentional or non-intentional. I forgive them because I refuse to cripple myself. Remember I said symbolism. The rattlesnake is a symbol. When I see the symbol is telling me about deadly thoughts that will rattle me. Deadly thoughts. Watch for the warning. The rattlesnake has a tail that makes a sound that warns you, move or be struck. It warns its enemy. Watch for the rattle. Watch for thoughts that rattle you, and immediately you know I either need to kill it or remove myself from it. Kill it or remove myself from that thought. Kill that thought. No, we're not going back there. That conversation is mute. Someone brings up, you remember they did this? That conversation is mute. We're not having a dialogue about that. Forgetting those things that are behind, I press toward the mark of the high calling in Christ Jesus. What does forgetting mean? To put out of mind. Say forgetting, I'm putting it out of my mind. Literally, the word forgetting in the Greek means to put out of your mind. I'm putting it out of my mind. I won't keep rehearsing it. I will not keep. Think about how you memorize things. You say it over and over and over. So in an effort to not memorize the pain, don't keep talking about it over and over and over. Take the sting out. Take the harm out. No, if I mention it, once I'm made whole, I'll mention it in order to heal someone else. I'll use it only as an antidote. I will not use it as a badge of courage to keep holding somebody else hostage and harming myself in the process. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. Go up by me grabbing Jackie's hand as well. You're touching Stephen, and I thank you for that emotional healing. Healing from damaged emotions. What has happened, he's also her Benjamin, son of her right hand, her place of strength. I thank you that you're grabbing his hand, gripping his hand. The things that he's gone through, she would have never had him go through, but it has always been her fear. It has always been her nightmare. She was always terrified, even when he was a little kid, Lord, that he wouldn't follow in that path. She had times when she was even growing up in her teen years in New York of thinking, God, had it not been for your hand, I would have been incarcerated. Had it not been for your hand, Lord, I would have ruined my record, but you delivered me. And I'm looking for the same deliverance from my son, Lord. And thank you for the emotional healing that's transpiring in Hector, Lord, who's been damaged emotionally, that depression that tries to hover over him and rule over him, that he doesn't necessarily talk about with her. Lord, I thank you that he may even need some natural antidepressants presence, but you'll work with her to help him to not see that as a weakness or anything against a man, to balance him, to balance that testosterone. Lord, that he'll be a balanced man. I thank you for what you're going to do down on the inside, even the anger that's been on the inside of Courtney, Lord. In the name of Jesus, I thank you for working in there and removing the anger and healing her from damaged emotions that has ruled over them. God, both those daughters. And then their mindsets, Lord, about men. God, you're going to have to heal their mindsets about men so that they don't feel the need to castrate them because they feel that they've been under attack. I thank you for working in them to bring drastic changes, that as Jackie is muscling up on the enemy, that it will eradicate the spirit of anger, the spirit of rage that's been a generational spirit because of opposition, because of things that have come up against them, that they felt that I need to control my environment so that I won't be controlled by other individuals. I thank you for spiritual tools instead of emotional tools now. In the name of Jesus, that they'll see it for what it is, and that spirit of pride that will not drive them into manipulation and control, but Lord, that it will cause them to surrender to your hand and your will, and even priming the prophets in them. Instead of them running from those callings, they'll run to those callings because of divine healing. In the name of Jesus, you've not forgotten about David and that priesthood that is on him and on his son, God.
All right, life, here I come. Who is it? Who is it? It's Grief. Excuse me?
I came to manage you since you didn't manage me, and this is gonna be fun.
Whatever. What in the world? Who is it?
Hello, darling. It's Betrayal. How are you, Betrayal?
I don't want you.
Hey, I'm coming on the journey with you.
Oh,
Thank
no,
you.
you can't come with
Yes,
me.
thank
and
you.
I definitely don't want that one over there.
Oh, hey, how you doing? I didn't know you was gonna be here. This
Oh,
is absolutely wonderful. Yes.
Who is it? Who is it? Hi, honey. Who are you?
I'm Deaf.
Deaf.
This what you on me? You think
Oh
this
no,
is
I
enough?
bind and rebuke you right now in the name of
Oh,
Jesus.
hush. I'm not here for
Yes.
you. I'm here for your family and your friends.
Hey, Dad, how are you?
Who are you?
I am just in time. Hey, y'all! I'm Cancer.
Oh no, no, you
Now,
definitely
wait a
can't.
minute.
Bye.
People don't invite me, but I come anyway. I'm going to eat.
When are we leaving?
Yes, we need to leave.
I'm God. Don't worry. I'm coming with you. Let's journey together.
Wait.
Bye, Felicia.
Journey on.
Inside of you